fail the democracy exam, but pass the test of defending your people's interests, or submit and lose your identity. What will Moldova and Georgia choose? Let's examine all the political elements and put them in place. This is Mendeleev's table. Let's figure it out together. What do Georgia and Moldova have in common besides vast vineyards? Actually, a lot. Both countries are former Soviet republics that at some point became unstable to the winds blowing from the west. Then came the color revolutions, a shift in geopolitical direction, and now, along with Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia are in line to join the EU. But as time goes on, it turns out that the fruits of constructive chaos sown by an external hand are a decline in living standards and security, and a rejection of their own values. And now the European idea is losing popularity. Let's move to the events of October 20th. On this day, Moldova held presidential elections and a constitutional referendum on joining the EU. Voting took place during a difficult period for the country. Due to rising energy prices, Moldova remains in a deep economic crisis. Even before the votes were counted, it became clear. Society was divided into two camps.
Everything is getting more expensive. How can pensioners live like this? I can't afford bread, milk, nothing is enough. Utilities have taken over everything.
Regarding joining the EU, I was against it. I'll explain. The thing is, I've lived under Soviet rule and under our presidents, who have been until now. Everyone always tried to choose a president. They chose Sandu. Why is this referendum needed? We didn't ask to join the EU.
On the same day in Georgia, crowds were brought to the streets to show commitment to plans for Euro integration. However, there weren't that many choosing the EU. Activists didn't even fully fill Freedom Square. The executive secretary of the ruling Georgian Dream emphasized that the opposition lost the elections a week before the elections. Nevertheless, President Zurabishvili again violated the country's constitution, which states the leader should be non-partisan, and spoke at a rally supporting the opposition. She also addressed Maya Sandu.
Maya, I hope today will be the day of your victory and the day of the European referendum's victory. We will enter Europe together.
It's no secret, this day didn't become a victory day for Maya Sandu. Brussels' expectations crashed against harsh reality twice this Sunday evening. None of the candidates in Moldova gained more than 50% of the votes. The CEC scheduled a second round of elections for November 3rd. As for the referendum results, miracles under the cover of night. Late in the evening, after processing just over 50% of the protocols, the situation was as follows. Against the country entering into the EU were 51.5% of voters for 43.75%. However, after midnight, the carriage turned into a pumpkin, or rather, into a dab, and now for Euro integration 50.46% against 49.54%. 708. This is the number of violations recorded during the presidential elections and the EU accession referendum in Moldova, according to the non-governmental organization Promolex. Among them were photographing ballots, interrupting video recording during the opening of polling stations or during the vote counting process, indicating incorrect addresses, and, attention, even the presence of deceased voters on the lists. Deceased voters, another incident from the Unexplainable But True series. A Moldovan citizen came to a polling station in Florida and found out that she had already voted, but in Italy. Georgia is actively preparing for its parliamentary elections, which will take place on October 26th. They are also predicted to be historic. The ruling party has already announced all signs of a coup preparation. The Speaker of Parliament emphasized that it is planned to use non-governmental organizations to create fake reports about the elections to create a false pretext for another unrest in Georgia. Pressure on Georgia from the West increased after the adoption of the law on transparency of foreign influence, which ironically exposed the obviousness of its presence, and the law banning LGBT propaganda. They say it's not right that family values turned out to be more important for the country than democratic ones. Now they openly declare that maintaining the current political course will lead to the loss of all EU financial aid.
If Georgians decide by voting not to continue integration into the European Union, Georgia will lose all the financial aid that was previously directed, and then Tbilisi will lose all the money that EU members receive, especially countries with a lower level of economic development.
Western forces are seriously intending to destabilize the situation within the country following the tried-and-true Ukrainian Maidan scenario. Will Moldova and Georgia be able to defend their sovereignty?